Hello, MCPS. My name is Pranil Suvarna, and it has been the honor of a lifetime to serve as your 47th student member of the Board of Education. As my term draws to a close, I stand before you not just to introduce the next SMOB candidates, but to recognize the incredible progress we've made together. Progress that will shape the future of MCPS for years to come. This year, much of the work we've done hasn't been the most glamorous. It hasn't always made headlines, but it has been foundational. At the very start of my tenure, I worked alongside Superintendent Dr. Thomas Taylor and Chief of Security Marcus Jones to enact a critical policy change, ensuring that every security guard in MCPS carries Narcan. This decision was not just about policy. It was about saving lives, about ensuring that no student is left unprotected in the face of a crisis. But safety is only one part of the equation. Students deserve more. I sat down with the Division of Food and Nutrition Services to fight for better meal options, including expanded condiment choices and quality improvements, because the details matter. With your voices behind me, I championed and passed a comprehensive mental health workgroup resolution, ensuring that student well-being remains at the forefront of our district's priorities. But mental health resources require investment. And that's why I stood with my fellow Board of Education members to fight for a proposed operating budget that meets your needs. One that includes $9 million more for school maintenance, because no student should learn in a building that is falling apart. 52 new security guard positions, because safety is not optional. $50 million for special education and EML students, because every student deserves the resources and support to thrive in MCPS, and so much more. Strong schools aren't built on one big moment. They're built on the everyday investments we make in student well-being, safety, and access to resources. The next SMOB, the Board of Education, and every student advocate must continue fighting for the funding our schools deserve. But advocacy isn't just about policy or the budget. It's about innovation. I've heard your concerns about closed bathrooms and the lack of menstrual products, and I'm proud to be working alongside students to develop lasting solutions. We're looking at ways to make our schools more responsive, ensuring that bathrooms stay open, stocked, and functional. Even as my term nears its end, our work is just beginning. So as we look ahead, I ask you to stay engaged. Keep raising your voices, keep demanding better, because this work is bigger than one person or one term. It's about building a future that serves every student. Thank you, MCPS, for your trust, your energy, and your unwavering belief that we can and will do better. Let's finish strong.
Hi everyone, my name is Tandy Labor and I'm a junior at Rockville High School and I'm one of your special election administrators for this year.
Hi everyone, my name is Jason Liao and I'm a senior at Poolsville High School. I serve as the other special elections administrator. Together, we lead what's called the Special Elections Committee, which is a group of students from across Montgomery County charged with organizing and running the entire SMOB election. On February 19th, we held the annual nomination convention that was attended by nearly 500 student delegates from all middle and high schools around the county. The diverse field of 10 candidates was narrowed down to our 2 finalists.
One of our 2 finalists will be elected by students in grades 6 through 12 to serve on Montgomery County's Board of Education as a full voting member. The Montgomery County SMOB is only one of 2 SMOBs in the entire state of Maryland to have full voting rights, giving us a unique opportunity for student voice.
This election has nearly 80,000 eligible voters, including outgoing seniors like me. It's very important that every student casts their vote in this process and has their voices heard. The Special Elections Committee has developed many resources for students to learn about these 2 candidates and allow for all students to make an informed vote.
In order to be an informed voter, you will receive key information and hear both candidates speak on this program. You will receive voter guides that include detailed information about each candidate's platform and their answers to a few questions about key issues. These voter guides will be emailed to your MCPS student email account along with Election Day reminders and a preview of the ballot.
On Election Day, you will go to your MCPS student email account and open the electronic ballot. The ballot identifies each candidate and lists a summary of their platform and ideas on the voting screen. This year, Election Day will be held on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. The ballot will open at 7:30 a.m. and close at 3:30 p.m. Thank you all so much for listening, and we can't wait to see you turn out to vote on April 23rd.
Today, you will have a moment to learn about each of our two candidates who are seeking your vote to serve as the 48th student member of the Board of Education. The two candidates elected at the February 19th SMOB Nominating Convention are Mr. Peter Boyko and Ms. Anuva Maloo. Each candidate will have a moment to briefly introduce themselves, and then they will share their positions on a few key issues important to students across Montgomery County. This program will help you be best prepared to vote in the SMOB election on April 23, 2025. Today's program will include a pre-recorded introduction from each candidate, a live recorded question and answer period, and a lightning round of questions to get to know our candidates better. Let's begin with the pre-recorded introductions from each candidate. First, we will hear from candidate Peter Boyko.
Does our school system prepare us for the future? If you're struggling to answer yes to that question, I'm right there with you. And that's why I'm on your screen right now, running to be your next student member of the board. You want more bathrooms to be open, you want healthier school meals, you want to be prepared for life after high school, and you want to feel safe in school. Let's get it done. Let's not act next month or next year, let's act now. With 5 years of student leadership and advocacy experience, I'm ready to listen to you and ready to fight for you, but only with your vote. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I encourage you to listen to what I bring to the table. Thank you, and let's win this.
Now we will hear from candidate Anuva Maloo.
Hey, my name is Anuva Maloo, and I'm a junior at Montgomery Blair High School. I know it's hard to get to know me through a screen, but I hope you can get a glimpse of my life through the rest of this video. I've been advocating for your rights for 5 years now, growing up in the NEC and attending school in the DCC. As a varsity swimmer, track athlete, and artist, I have experienced firsthand the disparities between our county. Being my class president for the last 3 years, founding the NEC and DCC Advocacy Coalition, interning for former Board of Education Vice President Lynne Harris, and even being a policy deputy for past SMOB Sami Saeed, I know how to make my policies a reality. I will push for our bathrooms to not only be unlocked, but also have doors, mirrors, and soap. For our menstrual dispensers to not only work, but also have good quality products. For Narcan to be easily accessible to all students, and for phone and website policies to change now. If you ask anyone who has ever met me, you'll know that I value the truth above all else. And if I say something, I believe in it, and I will make it happen. It's time for a new change. Thank you.
Those were great introductions. Now let's hear directly from them. The remainder of this program is recorded live in the MCPS TV studio. There are no edits, so what you see and hear are as they happen live. Today, we have a series of questions to ask and learn more about each of our two finalists and their vision for their work in the SMOB position. We've recorded questions from students across MCPS and will play each one. I'll ask each candidate to keep their responses to 30 seconds so we have time to discuss multiple issues. Welcome, Peter and Anuva. Peter, we'll begin with you.
What are your unique experiences or perspectives that will help you be an impactful SMOB?
Thanks, Jess. Something I always say is actions speak louder than words. We can make a bunch of promises. In fact, most of our priorities are very similar, but it's all about who you think will get the job done. And to that, I say look at my actions before my words. Look at how I've co-founded the county's largest student-led environmental organization, Eco MoCo, how I've testified directly to government officials 10 times and held high-ranking leadership positions across the county. I've learned the ins and outs of MCPS, and I'm ready to get to work on day one.
Thank you. Anuva?
Now, I think that leadership is incredibly important, and as you already know, I have been advocating for your rights for the past 5 years. But something that no other candidate can replicate is my life and my experience. I grew up in the Northeastern Consortium, and now I live in the Down County Consortium. Along with that, as a student athlete, artist, and dancer, I have been to schools all across the county, from Damascus to Paint Branch. I know what our county is like, and I know how to make what I want to happen in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuva. Here's our next question.
How will you establish relationships with students across the county to ensure they feel comfortable sharing their concerns?
Thank you. Anuva?
I think that this is an incredibly important question, and what I've always spoken about is that I'm a very approachable person, but it's hard to get to know me through a screen. And that's why if you ever don't feel comfortable enough talking to me, I will have an anonymous form open at all times for you guys to fill out, to hear your concerns, to hear your priorities, and make sure that you guys get a response ASAP. My SMOB Advisory Council will be checking it constantly, but along with that, I'm committed to visiting every single middle school and high school in this county, no matter what, even after I am SMOB. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter?
MCPS, I'm committed to visiting every middle and high school once during my term. Representation is something I greatly value. In addition to school visits, I plan to organize the largest SMOB Advisory Council with students from every middle and high school in the county, in addition to elementary school students as well. I want to make sure that this group of students has a voice and is advising the SMOB on key decisions. With me as SMOB, your voice will be valued and represented.
Here's our next question.
How will you build on the work of the current SMOB, Pranil Suvarna, during your term?
Peter?
Thanks, Sophie. Something I really admire about our current SMOB, Pranil, is the work he's done around the drug crisis. At the start of his term, Pranil worked to ensure that all security guards in MCPS carried Narcan, a life-saving medication that would reverse an overdose. I plan to build on this work and expand Narcan distribution to all secondary schools and implement Narcan training into the health curriculum. This is an issue that puts students' lives on the line, and I won't rest until Narcan distribution is expanded and student lives are prioritized.
Thank you, Peter. Anuva?
As I mentioned earlier, if you guys don't know, I had a friend that actually passed away due to overdosing. And that's why it's always been incredibly important to me that Narcan is accessible to all students. If you've followed Pranil's campaign throughout the beginning, he's always talked about the opioid crisis. And that's why he got security guards trained with Narcan. But that's not enough. Students need to have the comfort of safety in their hands. And I want to do so by making fentanyl strips and Narcan kits accessible throughout all schools. Afterwards, I want to focus on student lunches as well and expanding that with more options. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuva. I look forward to seeing what both of you do next year. Let's take a look at the next question.
What steps would you take to ensure school safety and create welcoming environments for all students?
As I just mentioned earlier, I think that it's incredibly important for students to have access to Narcan kits and fentanyl strips. Kids need the comfort of safety in their hands. Along with that, I also want to expand on the ID policy. Yes, the implementation, it's a good step forward, but the truth is that there's no incentive for students to do it. And there's no way that kids feel safe with our current day and age when there's literally one security guard for 1,000 students in the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuva. Peter?
Every student deserves to feel safe and comfortable at school. However, on September of this school year, a student was found carrying a loaded handgun throughout the entire day at my school. Incidents like these happen far too often and aren't contributing to a safe and comfortable learning environment. That's why, with a seat at the board, I will work to ensure that safety is the highest priority by expanding security guards, hiring more security guards, better enforcing ID policies, and investing in more security technology.
Thank you, Peter. Safety is important to students. Let's hear the next question.
So, as a SMOB, you will work to build and pass a multi-billion-dollar operating budget.
If you could allocate a part of the budget to a specific initiative, what would you choose and why?
Peter?
Any issue that puts our lives on the line is worth funding, and with over a $3 billion budget, there must be space for school safety, whether that's hiring more security guards or investing in more security technology, such as weapon detection systems. Each day of my term, I will work to prioritize school safety, especially when budget season rolls around.
Thank you, Peter. Anuva?
I have 3 main goals that I want to make happen within my first few months as SMOB. Firstly, I want to make Narcan kits accessible to all students, starting with fentanyl strips. Secondly, I want to get our menstrual dispensers working. With good quality products, there's no reason that the county does not treat a necessary product as a priority. Finally, I want to expand on our infrastructure. I know for many years, students have been promised that their school has a renovation happening just around the corner, and I want to work on prioritizing your school's needs and your priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Great answers from candidates, as understanding the budget is a responsibility the SMOB here as the SMOB. Here's our last question.
What impact would you want to see from your work benefiting MCPS students by the end of your term?
Thank you. Anuva?
Well, firstly, I value connections and I value hearing your voices. That's why when I did my school visits and when I visited so many different places, I learned of your bathrooms being locked constantly, of your doors missing, of mirrors missing. The first thing I want to do for MCPS students is get you unlocked bathrooms and get you doors back. Secondly, I want to get our menstrual dispensers working. I want to improve our Narcan accessibility, and along with that, fentanyl strips. And then after that, I want to focus on bringing back home ec as a class, driver's ed, and other implementations. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuva. Peter?
By the end of my term, I hope to fix the current situation with our bathrooms. For those who aren't familiar with the issues that persist daily in our bathrooms, this may seem like a weird issue, but the reality is we've seen students die from overdoses in bathrooms. We've seen vandalism, vaping, and violence, and we've seen far too many bathrooms lock. So here's the plan. The SMOB gets sworn in over the summer. I will work to open the school year with open bathrooms that have vape detectors and good quality stocked menstrual product dispensers.
Thank you both. Your thoughts that you responded with show a great response to the student questions. Now we will proceed to the lightning round, where I will ask some questions and both of you will share your immediate responses in less than 15 seconds. With this, we will begin with Anuva and alternate who begins first. Are you ready? Great.
Yes.
Here we go. If you could instantly master one skill, what would you choose and why? Anuva?
Oh my God. 100% I would master memorization. I mean, I have so many tests that I have to take constantly. I'm missing school constantly. If I could just read a book and then memorize everything, I'd be set for all my tests and I wouldn't have to worry about my grades either. Thank you.
Peter, how about you?
If I could master one skill, it would be mobilization. I want to make sure that I'm not the only one working on my seat as on the board. I want to mobilize students, get a group energized to fight and continue the fight for years to come on various issues that students feel passionate about.
Thank you, Peter. Next question. If you could teach a current class in MCPS, which would it be? We'll start with you, Peter.
This is such an amazing question. A class and a content that I'm very passionate about is financial literacy. I think our schools should be preparing students for the future, and there's nothing more like that than financial literacy. How to file taxes, buy a home, are all things that students need to know in order to thrive in adulthood.
Thank you, Peter. How about you, Anuva?
I think schools need to be teaching us skills for life. Along with that, if you guys don't know me, I'm not really that good at cooking. So if I had the option to take home ec, learn these life skills on how to cook a meal for the future when I'm living on my own in college or as an adult, I would take advantage of it to the fullest.
All right, next up. What do you admire most about the other candidate? Anuva?
I mean, 100% I gotta say Peter's humor. If you guys don't know this guy, he's hilarious and he's an amazing person. Before this, we were friends and we still are to this day, and I know afterwards we're gonna do amazing things. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuva. How about you, Peter?
Something I greatly admire about Anuva is her personality, how down-to-earth she is. This campaign has been nothing but grueling, but throughout it all, we've been friends and we've stuck together, and she's always been there for a helping hand, and that's something I greatly admire about Anuva.
Thank you, Peter. Last question. What song would you choose to play every time you entered a room, and why?
That is a great question. I love party songs and throwbacks, so one song I really like is Rather Be. It's a great anthem that gets me hyped and jammed every time I need to be energized for something, so Rather Be is one of my favorite songs.
Thank you, Peter. Anuva?
I mean, I'm not sure if you guys will know it, I hope you do, but Everybody Talks is one of my favorite songs of all time by Neon Trees. I grew up with it, listening to it at lifeguard practices and everything else, and I just think it's an amazing song that gets everyone hyped.
Both candidates provided some strong and thought-provoking responses. Thank you for sharing this time with us. That's all the time we have for our discussion. We encourage students to invite the candidates to visit their schools and meet with you before the election on April 23rd. Each candidate will now have an opportunity to provide a closing statement. Peter will speak first.
Look, running for SMOB was not an easy decision, but I knew why I needed to do this. Every student deserves to feel safe, comfortable, and supported at school, but that's just not what we're seeing when safety incidents across our county aren't slowing down, when bathrooms are locked without good period products, and when there's no financial literacy education that actually prepares students for the future. We need a fighter now more than ever to be our next SMOB, and I promise you I will be that fighter. How do I know? Well, I've been fighting for the past 5 years, and with a seat at the board table, our vision can become reality. Vote Peter Boyko to be your next SMOB, and let's get it done.
Now, let us hear from Anuva.
My mom named me Anuva because it translates to knowledge and a new beginning. I will be the new beginning for MCPS students, but that can only happen with your vote. I will prioritize your voices, your concerns, and your decisions. The SMOB is supposed to represent everyone, but it is impossible to do so without truly understanding every school. That is why I am committed to visiting all 67 middle schools and high schools in MCPS. Along with this, I will have representatives from middle schools on my SAC, as I have already done so for high schoolers. Having experienced the gaps between schools in our county and having lived in the two most underrepresented areas, I am committed to bridging this gap. All too often, students feel that their concerns are being overlooked. I want you to always feel that you can approach me, but if not, I will have an anonymous form available at all times for you to fill out. As I said at the beginning of this video and during the Q&A, I am a student athlete, artist, and leader, and I have never made a promise I will not follow through with. It's time for a new beginning, and that starts with a new change. Vote Anuva for SMOB as your 48th SMOB if you want a new beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter and Anuva. Students, the choice is yours, and the results will have an incredible impact on you and this school system. Whether you are a 6th grader who will vote for the first time or a senior who will vote for the last time, the vote is yours to cast. Make your vote count and vote on April 23rd, 2025.